don't know nobody on this road that can save your soul. Almost lost control now. Tell me what you need in a friend and now. Pray that we endure to the end again. I'm just saying that I'm here for you. When the world turn against you, I'ma be with you. Got my soul in my hand, you can count on me. I won't run and hide, fight mightily.
Waiting on O.F.I. See the Jacob, I'm the apple of my father's eye. I learned the truth for who I was and it made me cry. If I don't keep the laws of Yah, then I'm gonna die. Living curses, but I'm edifying in my verses. Prepare the hearses for the heathens who'll be steady learning.
God, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh B'Shem HaMashiach, Wamalak Yahushai, to the 12 tribes are scattered abroad. Greetings to the hopeful elect, staying 10 toes down in His truth, enduring through all of the hardship, through all of the uncertainty, right? As everybody else in the world is being, pulled in further into false doctrines, being deceived by by Esau and all of the other nations and all of their sorcery and so forth and so on. We just thankful that the Most High in these end days has protected us, keeping our minds strong and things of that nature. And man, just so thankful. Tonight, we're going to get into something. Matter of fact, Salakia, not sure what's been going on with the audio. Salakia. Like I said, I'm not sure what's been going on with my audio. Let me try to move to a different spot. I've been noticing that the audio has been, my computer tripping. Satan and his devices trying to jam us up. But the word must go out, right? The word must go out. All praise to the Most High. Yahweh B'Shem HaMashiach, Wamalak Yahushai. Like I said, the word Salakia must go out. I'm not sure what's been going on, but tonight we're going to get into Gog and Magog, the war of the latter days, as we get into these prophecies that have been unfolding through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And I hope y'all been paying attention, man. I hope y'all have been taking notes because it has been getting crazy. If you're watching the news, you see what they did with Venezuela. You see how Trump and them boys ran up in there. They just snatched up the president, right? They damn taking the oil. It's all manner of hell breaking loose. And it's been prophesied that this will go down in the Bible. And it's going down right now, y'all. So we're going to jump right into it. No further ado. No shot ado, right? So we're going to jump right into Ezekiel, the 38th and the 39th chapter, right? Contain one of the most detailed prophecies in scriptures concerning an end-time invasion against Israel, right? This coalition of nations, led by a figure called Gog from the land of Magog, represents a specific alliance that will form in the latter years to attack the restored nation of Israel. Today, we see the coalition forming before our very eyes. Now, we want to go into this, though, as well. Like, when we say the restored nation, it's a twofold. It's going into us when we get us on our way back into the kingdom, but you also have the nation known, the state of Israel. My bad. That should have been a better way to say it. The state of Israel. So Ezekiel 38, 1-6, and it reads, "And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Mesesh and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith Yahweh God, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Mesesh and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia Ethiopia, and Libya with them. So you seeing in the scriptures right now that it's a coalition of nations that are going to be going against a certain nation, right? All of them with shields and helmets. We talking about war, y'all. Gomer and all his bands his armies. The house of Tagormera of the north quarters. Let's talk about Russia. And all his bands and many people with thee. Let's identify the coalition of nations that was just mentioned here in Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. The nation's name in Ezekiel 38 can be traced to their modern day counterparts through biblical genealogy from Genesis 10, historical records, and geographical analysis. Magog, Arash, which is Russia, y'all. Straight up and down, the Bible is talking about Russia. All right. Now, who says that the Bible ain't got prophecies? The Bible is talking about Russia. Peep game, y'all. Gog and Magog. Magog was a son of Japheth. We see that in Genesis 10 and 2. Ancient historians like Josephus identified the Magogites with the Scythians, who lived in the region of the Black and Caspian Seas. Modern day Russia. Pushaisti. Putin. All right. Vladimir Putin. All right. The Hebrew word Rosh, H7218 in Ezekiel 38 and 2, can be translated as chief or as a proper noun, Ra'ash, from which Russia is derived. Russia is derived from the word Rosh, okay? And that Hebrew word Rosh means chief. So Russia was the chief of those tribes, those Scythian tribes, or Scythian, I think that's how you say it, right? Is derived. The phrase chief prince could also be rendered prince of Rosh. So we see Russia, even in these days, is going into Rosh. So we see the Bible is prophesying about Russia coming and doing a little something. Let's get into it, y'all, right? That's the Northern Territory, right? The Scythian heritage. Now watch this, y'all. Watch this. Look, Scythian. Let's get it, right? Look, Scythian. Scythian were ancient skilled equestrian nomads from the Eurasian steppes, modern Ukraine, and Russia, known for their fierce horsemanship, distinctive animal style art like gold combs, and warrior culture, speaking an Iranian language. Why you think Russia and Iran is like this? All of these things, because you know the Iranians are the ancient Persians. All right, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that as well. So all of these things you got to take into consideration. All right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Persia, which is Iran. Persia requires no interpretation. It is the ancient name for modern day Iran or Iran, right? Iran was called Persia until 1935 when Reza Shah officially changed the name. So Persia is Iran. When you read about Persia and the ancient Persians, right, in the Bible, that is Iran, straight up and down. All right. The fact that Persia or Iran is the first nation listed after Gog and Magog in Ezekiel 38 and 5 indicates its prominence in the coalition. Today, Iran is Russia's primary Middle East ally, right? So direct name continuity, you had Persia, which now Persia was changed by the Shah in 1935 to Iran, okay? Same country, same people. The Islamic Republic of Iran, all right? Kush, and we ain't talking about what brothers be rolling up in folly and smoking in their blunts. Kush, Ethiopia. Sudan, Ethiopia, right? You got a Sudan when you say it. So Cush was a son of Ham. Once again, Genesis, the 10th chapter, you're going to see a lot of what goes into the table of the nations. Genesis 10 and 6. The Ethiopian in the KJV refers to an ancient kingdom of Cush, which encompassed modern Sudan and Ethiopian on the African Horn region. Now, let me give you guys some context in terms of watch this, in terms of geography, right? So when you look right here, bam, you see the horn right here on Africa. You got Ethiopia, you got Sudan, you got Eritrea, you got Djibouti, right? You got Somalia, you got Kenya, Uganda, Democratic Republic of Congo, which there's a lot of interesting history on the DRC, right? Used to be called Zaire, okay? But right here you see this Eritrea didn't always used to be here. All of this area right here, it wasn't no Sudan and South Sudan. All of this was considered Kush. All right. This was considered the kingdom of Kush. So when you go back into the history, Sudan has historically aligned with Iran, and Russia against Western interest. All right. Against Western interest. Okay. So moving on. You see, uh, the history is biblical. You got Sudan, which is really goes back into the Ethiopians and the ancient Kushites on that African Horn region. You got Iran, which in 1935 the Shah changed the name from Persia to Iran. You got Gog and Magog, which goes back to the Scythians, right, on the steppes, the Eurasian steppes, which is Russia. How you got the word Ra'ash in the Hebrew, which means chief, which Russia was derived from. Okay, so these are Hamitic lineage, and the Sudan and on the African Horn. You got Put. All right, Put goes into the Libyans. I know y'all know about Muammar Gaddafi. Gaddafi was taken out by the CIA, they say, by the FBI, they say, by all these type of situations, right? That's what they say from that perspective, right? So all praises to the Most High. We got scoffers in the building. All praises to the Most High. The word still must go out, y'all. It still must go on. All right, we ain't tripping. So, bam. Libyan has had a tumultuous, Put was also a son of Ham. Genesis 10:6. Ancient records consistently place Put, or Foot, it also says, in North Africa, specifically Libya. Libya has had a tumultuous relationship with Israel and has been a Russian ally. During the Gaddafi era, Libya was a known sponsor of anti-Israel activities. And that's why they had to get Gaddafi out of there, right? Mediterranean region, North African coast. Gomer goes into Turkey. Turkey, when you look into Anatolia and you look into what's the word I'm looking for? Into damn, it's gonna come back to me. The biblical name. It wasn't Turkey though, right? So you got Gomer was the firstborn son of Japheth, right? Some people say Japheth, Japheth, however you say it, right? We're not gonna get too caught up on the pronunciation. In Genesis 10:2-3, his descendants settled in now Turkey, which was Anatolia, right? And parts of Central Europe. The ancient Cimmerians, right? Cimmerians and Galatians descended from Gomer. So all this part was a part of the Hellenization as well. That period, because Turkey, Anatolia, all of that was eventually conquered by the Greeks, and that's why all of that was Hellenized, Galatia, and so forth and so on, right? So Turkey today, while a NATO member, has increasingly aligned with Russia and Iran on regional matters. And you got to think, NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, a lot of these geopolitical pacts are for certain interests, whether they be commercial, whether they be maritime, borders and things to be protected and controlled. Maybe whether it's for what is it called? Economic, right? Some things are certain military pacts. So therefore, I think NATO Article 5 or something like that, attack one, attack all, right? Salaki if I misspoke on the article, right? But moving on, that's the Anatolian region and Japhetic line. So that line comes straight from Japheth, right? Then you got Tigomora, which is Turkey and Armenia. Now, If you know anything about modern day Israel, the state of Israel, there are a lot of Armenians who live in the state of Israel, right? Let's get this. Think like 1/3 of the population in Palestine or in Israel is Armenia, right? Armenian population in Israel. Look. In 2022, an estimate of approximately 5,000 to 6,000 Armenians lived across Israel and Palestine. There are few Russian-speaking Jews from Armenia in Israel, but they are classified within the former, look, USSR Aliyah. So no precise statistics are available prior to 1991, when Armenia restored its independence from the USSR. What is it? USSR Soviet Republic, but what does it stand for? USSR stand for? I know something. The Soviet Republic, Union of Soviet Slovakia, Socialist Republic. So the USSR was a 15 sub-nation republic with its capital in Moscow. So you had, before the Cold War, you had the USSR, which was 15 sub-nations, chiefly under Russia. And then they broke up after the Cold War. So you have a vast amount of Armenia. Armenia broke out of that. So you still have those ties, those political ties with Russia, Armenia, and so forth and so on, right? So that's the Caucasus region, like the Caucasus Mountains, modern day Turkey. And peep this. Ezekiel describes Tugamora as being from the North Quarters, former USSR, those Eurasian steppes geographically up by Russia, modern day Turkey, and Armenia. Ancient Assyrian records mention Tigerimu in the region of eastern Turkey and Armenia. Both Turkish and Armenian traditions claim descent from Tagorma. So we see even on secular history, right, in world history, in these particular nations, they even say and declare that they have descendantship, if that's a word, right, or descent from Tagorma, right? So the Bible has a litany of history and archaeological context that support what we're saying, what the scriptures are bringing out, right? The history. So the timing in latter years, let's get Ezekiel 38:8. After many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. So the prophecy is clear. An invasion is happening in the latter years when Israel has been brought back from the sword after persecution and exile, gathered out of many people, regathered from the diaspora nations, returned to the Mount of Israel, the land restored, dwelling safely in a state of relatively peace and security. Now, don't get this twisted. We're not saying that the people there now are fulfilling this prophecy in the sense of they being that the nation of Israel is being restored. That is the state of Israel. The state of Israel does not represent the nation of Israel. I want y'all to take heed to what I'm saying. The state of Israel does not represent the nation of Israel. One is a geopolitical, state, right? It's a state that was declared after World War II, after the Balfour Declaration. That's not the state of Israel in terms of, how would you say it, the original, the bloodline. They don't have biological ancestry that ties back to Jacob. Their biological ancestry ties to Esau, right? So when you get in these prophecies, you got to take the meat off the bone, right? Ezekiel 38:18 through 22 through 23, Salakia. And it shall come to pass at the same time when Gog shall come up against the land of Israel, saith the Lord God, that my fury shall come up in my face. For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking of the land in the land of Israel, so that the fishers of the sea and the fowls of heaven and the beasts of the field and all creeping things that creep upon earth and all the men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at my presence, and the mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. And I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, saith the Lord God Yahweh. Every man's sword shall be against his brother, and I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood, and I will rain upon him and upon his bands and upon the many people that are with him, and overflowing rain and great hailstones, fire and brimstone. Thus will I magnify myself and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. So what this is touching on is prophetically, right? All of these nations are coming together in a pact. And we're not talking about the state of Israel and the people who are there now. This is more going towards the prophecy of when Yahushai is coming back, and all the nations are going to fight against Yahushai in a pact. Because right now you got the NATO, you got the what is called the man, what is that? Salaki, real quick. I got a brain fart. The 1 second. It is, I'm looking for the 8-Nation Alliance, right? With the CCP. So you got the 8-Nation Alliance as well, with China, and you have these different geopolitical pacts, right? That come together, and you know, some of them once again are for protecting borders. Some of them are more economic. Some of them because they share security in a particular region. But nevertheless, all of these different geopolitical pacts, they're all going to come together and they're going to try to fight against Yahushua, right? So that's what this is going into. But right now, we see, though, that it's building up from this modern time, right? You have these different, the Most High is moving the chess pieces different places on the board so everything can be fulfilled in its proper time. So key prophetic insight. Yahweh declares that he himself will intervene supernaturally when this coalition attacks Israel. Now, once again, we're not talking about Yahweh intervening supernaturally against these people who attack the state of Israel. This is talking about the true Israelites when we go get back in the land. And from that perspective, when all these nations going back down to the battle of Jehoshaphat, right? So like the valley of Jehoshaphat, where they call it the battle of Armageddon, at that time where all of these coalition of nations are going to get together and fight against Yahushua and the angels and the children of Israel, and they're going to be put down, right? Destruction of God's armies will be so complete and miraculous that all nations will know that Yahweh is the Most High. This is not merely a military conflict. It is Yahweh defending his people and glorifying his name before the world, right? So let's go ahead and get into the second chapter, Elam. So when you get into Elam, we talk about the Elamites, which a lot of people only think about Elam as being the Indian people, you know, not Indian in the sense of, you know, Native Americans or Gadites, but Indian in the sense of from India, right? That's what a lot of people only think about when it comes to Elam. While Ezekiel 38 names Persia as part of the God coalition, Jeremiah 49 contains a separate, specific prophecy against Elam, a region in southwestern Iran where Iran's nuclear facilities are located today. This prophecy speaks of judgment, scattering, and ultimate restoration in the latter days. So identifying Elam as ancient Persia. Like I said, we think about Elamites, you know, you often think about the Indian people from India, but Elam also goes into parts of Persia, right? Genesis 10 and 22. The children of Shem, Elam and Ashur, right? And Arphaxad and Lud and Aram. Elam was one of the sons of Shem, making the Elamites Semitic people. The ancient kingdom of Elam occupied southwestern Iran with its capital at Susa, right? In modern day Shush. Ancient Elam, capital was Susa. We can see that in Daniel 8 and 2. Located east of Babylon, Semitic people group, and also mentioned in Genesis 14 and 1. Modern Elam also goes into Iran, because what you have to understand is that Yes, Persia was an expansive kingdom in the ancient days of empire, right? So where you see now borders drawn and things on a map, all of those borders that are on the current map weren't in the same locations in the ancient days. So from that perspective, you got to realize that you have to look at the ancient maps and look where certain territories are, and now you look at modern maps and see where these geopolitical lines and things have been drawn out by the cartographers, and now where certain kingdoms and countries and things are, but in the ancient times it wasn't there. So although you might ask, okay, well, it said Persia was Iran. Now you're saying Elam is Iran as well, because notice that Iran also part of, which is Persia, a part of that whole landmass right there that was the empire of Persia on the northern side, right? That's where you had Susha or Susa at. And we see that in Daniel, right? Matter of fact, I'm gonna get this real quick. In Daniel 8 and 2. The book of Daniel, chapter 8 and verse 2. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan, which is the same as Susa, in the palace, which is in the province of Elam. You see that? And I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. I think that's how you say that. But you see that Shushan or Susa or Shush is Persia, and Persia, but in the province of Elam. All right. So the Elamites, which go back to the Iran, right? So let's get this. Bam. So switching back. Jeremiah 49 and 34 through 39. The word of Yahweh that came to Jeremiah the prophet against Elam in the beginning of the regime of Zedekiah king of Judah, saying, Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, Behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. Now you got to realize some things are dual prophecies, right? It may have happened in ancient times, but it also is aligning with prophetic events that happen again, right? And not every prophecy is a dual prophecy, but there's nothing new under the sun. And you have certain nations that were risen up in ancient times that the Most High chopped down, and then are risen up again in these modern times, which they will also be chopped down, right? And upon Elam will I bring the four winds from the four corners of heaven, and will scatter them towards all those winds. And there shall be no nation whither the outcasts of Elam shall not come. For I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies, and before them that seek their life. And I will bring evil upon them, even my fierce anger, saith Yahweh. And I will send the sword after them, till I have consumed them. And I will set my throne in Elam, and will destroy from thence the king and the princes, saith Yahweh. But it shall come to pass in the latter days that I will bring again the captivity of Elam, saith Yahweh. So we see prophetically the Elamites are going to be subject, they're going to be in captivity. The Elamites also, which goes into Iran, all of their might, which now in the modern days, they're not running around with swords and stuff no more. The Elamites now is running around with, guess what? Nuclear arsenals. Hey, Elam has something they literally have something called Missile City, y'all. Look at this. Iran Missile City. Look. This is what Iran has, y'all. Fair use, y'all. Fair use. Once again, fair use. So look. Iran, and these Elamites, they not playing. They not playing. My computer been tripping, man. I don't know what's going on, but you see, let me get some pictures, Lord willing. Get some images. Look at this. Iran Missile City. See this? That's what they call it. A hidden Iranian city. Stockpile. We have more. Is Iran's secret city a ticking time bomb? So look at this. They have a city all underground full of missiles. So these Persians, hey, they not playing. They coming for war. Look at this. All of this is underground. That's what they got. That's what they have. You can see, you know, look at this underground missile base, just filled with missiles. And you know they've been enriching uranium and plutonium and all type of stuff. Look what they got. So Iran, right, is not playing. Look at this. You see? So this is Persia. This is what the Most High God was talking about in terms of prophecy. All right. So breaking down the prophecy, verse 35, break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. The bow represents Elam's primary military strength. In ancient time, Elamite archers were renowned. They were known for their archers, you know, strength of the bow. Today, this speaks of Iran's missile program and nuclear capabilities, the chief of their modern military might. Prophetic interpretation is the destruction or disabling of Iran's nuclear missile infrastructure. You got to think that, you know, when the Most High sent his son back, and you have all of these nations with their military might and power, and you know all of these sound weapons and just all different type of military arsenal and artillery and different bows and well, not bows, but different devices, for lack of a better word. They're not going to be able to do anything against the Most High when he sent his son in the chariots. I don't give a damn how many missiles you have. One of my favorite videos, it was a certain general, I believe, of the U.S. Army in some declassified videos where they literally shot up a nuclear warhead, and it was a chariot shot around it, shot beams of light. This thing was going 8,000 miles an hour, the nuclear missile. And the chariot went up, beam of light, beam of light, beam of light, and then flew out, right? They're not going to be able to do anything against that, all right? Scatter them towards all winds. A massive diaspora is prophesied. Elamites are Iranians scattered to every nation. This suggests a catastrophic event causing mass migrations and refugees fleeing in all directions. Today, millions of Iranians already live abroad due to the 1979 revolution and subsequent turmoil. And you see right now, it's a lot of protest and a lot of different things going on in Iran anyway, right? I will set my throne in Elam. The remarkable statement indicates that Yahweh will establish his authority over Elam, destroying the king and the princes. This speaks to regime change under divine judgment. The current rulership in Iran will be removed, right? Just how, as an example, you see the U.S., they went in to multiple nations, but even in terms of what just happened inside of, Venezuela. The U.S. literally went in there. They said the whole operation, if I'm not mistaken, took like 3 hours, right? It was like 20 men allegedly took out, unalived or disarmed or destroyed, however you want to say, over 300 top men, right? In special suits they said they had, using some type of sonic weapon allegedly that made people vomit and nosebleed and all type of things. So, and then they it's basically that was like a military coup at the end of the day to overthrow and destabilize another government. So think about how the Most High, when he sends his son and these judgments on the earth, how this is going to happen. Now, we don't even know though, too, like this, a lot of these things we see progressing right now and kind of happening right now as well, right? In verse 39, and the latter days bring again the captivity. Unlike total destruction, Yahweh promises restoration in latter days. This mirrors other prophecies where judgment precedes redemption. The scattered Elamites will be regathered, suggesting a future repentance and turning to Yahweh. Now, don't get this twisted. What this is going into, right? Why we say repentance and turning to Yahweh. There, we even see in terms of in the kingdom, right? I believe that's Zephaniah I'm thinking of, right? In terms of where if the other nations are going to be able to return back to their ancient lands, to their lands, but they won't be in rulership. It's a difference between everyone will be subservient and subject to Yahweh by Shem Yahushai and the children of Israel. We will be the ruling government, the ruling nation, the top nation. Now, the other nations, because we're a fair people, we're just people, we will let them go back to their lands, but they're still going to be under our rulership. And that's what this is demonstrating as well. Let's get Isaiah 21:2. A grievous vision is declared unto me. The treacherous dealer dealeth treacherously, and the spoiler spoileth. Go up, O Elam, besiege, O Media, right? Persia and Media. All of Slakia, all the sightings thereof have I made to cease. So, current event connection. Iran's nuclear facilities, Bashir, Natanz, Afshan, and Fordo. Fordo was in the news a little while ago because that's where a big bombing happened, right? Fordo fuel enrichment plant is Iran's deeply buried, highly secure nuclear facility near Qom. And this is when Fordo actually was just bombed by the U.S., right? Look, on June 22nd, 2025, the U.S. military executed Operation Midnight Hammer, conducting airstrikes against Iran's deeply buried Fordo fuel enrichment plant with the B-2 Spirit bombers dropped specialized GBU-57 bunker buster bombs, causing major damage to the facility as part of a targeted effort against Iran's nuclear capabilities. So we see these things have been going on, and we tying it to the scriptures. So that was Fordo, are located in the ancient region of Elam. Recent Israeli strikes in June 2025, we just went into Operation Hammer or whatnot, right? On these facilities echo the prophetic warning of breaking the bow of Elam. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, has reported significant damage to Iran's nuclear infrastructure as tensions escalate between Iran. We may be witnessing the early stages of Jeremiah's 49 fulfillment. So that's what we're going to go into tonight. Tomorrow, Lord willing, probably not on tomorrow. Probably try to do this on Wicked Wednesdays. On Wednesday, Lord willing, I do have to travel tomorrow and things of that nature. So may brothers and sisters keep me up and lifted in prayer, Lord willing, safe travels and things of that nature. But definitely wanted to jump in here on Man of Mondays and just bring a little historical context and prophetic context. We've been trying to get more into the prophecies and be able to be watchmen and see what's going on, warn the people, and break some things down through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Wamalak Yahushai. Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, the hopeful elect, right? And doing all things for the elect's sake, standing 10 toes down in his truth, fasting, praying, repenting. Kwam Yashala. Shalom, Mahabatah, family.